All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first episode of the newest show in the StarCraft scene. This is the Dank Shrine. Representing BornGosu in the Chobo Star League, I'd like to introduce the two hosts. Representing the Dark Archon, I am Chase Zili Jackson, and with me is.
I'm Anthony Toast Williamson, and it's nice to be here.
Yeah, so we're looking to bring a little bit of content to the StarCraft scene. We're representing BornGosu, which is a team in the Chobo StarCraft League. It's kind of like a pro league for a lot of tryhards who want to go and be a part of a team, play against some players, and it's a good community for StarCraft. So we're going to be bringing some content and trying to bring some publicity to our team and the Chobo Star League. You want to give a little bit more about it, Toast?
Yeah, the format is basically bronze through masters. If you're bronze, we'll get you to silver pretty quick, and
That's right.
and silver is the first eligible rank, and then it goes up into masters. Games are played once a week. We usually schedule them out, and you play your match, and it's all good. And then we have one ace match that is a best of three. Um, we play throughout the year. We go into the playoffs and then the finals, and then the finals are actually casted by the Cho Team League admins. And they do typically a pretty good job. I think Trilo is my favorite caster.
That's right. Yeah. Everybody loves Triolo. And yeah, check out choboteamleague.com and borngosu.com. We're representing that team, by far the best team in the league. And yeah, we're hoping to bring some content to the scene. We're going to be talking about all of the StarCraft news, the big leagues, the WCS events, dream hacks, as well as some of the local stuff that we do in BornGosu, some of the Star Leagues and Chobo Team League events locally for us. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, definitely.
So the name of the show, as we mentioned, is the Dank Shrine, and we are going to be your Dank Archon casters. And yeah, we wanted to go ahead and start out by talking about the foreign scene, which, if you're not familiar with StarCraft, that is kind of the people who aren't Korean.
Right, which seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. So foreigners is everybody that you think of when you're thinking about StarCraft.
Yeah.
So we just recently had a dream hack, and you had a chance to watch it, right, Toast?
Yeah, DreamHack Montreal was actually really exciting. I watched, I would say 90% of it.
Yeah, so I probably caught about half of it. So you probably have a little bit more background here than I do. So do you want to start us out with kind of the overview of how that all went?
Yeah, I mean, so if you're not familiar with how that works, it takes players from different regions. But Korea is region locked, so they're not to participate unless they're living outside of Korea, which is like True, who represents Team Storm, who ended up winning, and also Polt, just another Korean who now plays for a non-Korean team. Um, but yeah, we had a lot of upsets. There was a lot of good matches. There was a lot of weird games that a lot of people didn't expect. Um, and yeah, I think overall it was one of the better tournaments this year.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it had a lot of hype. It was a lot of fun. It seems to me like there was a lot of one-sided games toward the end of the tournament. I really enjoyed watching some of the beginning games. I think the round of 16 was more of what I caught, aside from the little bit toward the end. Any
Yeah.
take home any interesting games to you?
I mean the Scarlet Neeb, well, I think was probably the highlight of
Yeah,
the entire tournament, just because of what's going on with them. I mean, being in team or clan on fire and being having them both be in Korea with no
that's right.
regret. And them getting a lot of play time to practice against each other. And we saw them play each other at IEM Shanghai, uh, and we actually saw, I believe Neeb won, if I'm not wrong. I believe he won. But I know, talking with a lot of people, within the clan and within the community, a lot of them expected Scarlet to win that, and I always thought Neeb was going to win it. I thought he had a really good opportunity to study Scarlet's style while living with her and playing against her, and really focus on what her weak points are, which
Yeah.
she doesn't have many.
I mean, I think Scarlett's a really solid player, but I know that she does absolutely despise Protoss, and who can blame her, right? I mean, it's a filthy race.
I
So,
mean, it is, but at the same time, she plays it very well. I mean, if you saw her play Puck, she wrecked Hawk. I mean,
oh yeah,
she
she did. She knows how to play the
holy
matchup.
crap.
So I thought it was really interesting because I feel like she kind of would have, like you're talking about, they're both living in Korea. They're both training with some of the best players over there. And I think that in general they're spending a lot of time practicing, talking about stuff, and I think that really goes to show what kind of a player Neeb is right now. Like he's really developing, coming into his own, and finding this matchup, and able to kind of exploit some of these things there, and really I think
Yeah.
pretty well rector.
Well, I mean, it also, part of that too is no regret also plays Zerg.
That's true.
So I mean, he's got two Zergs to play with, and he can talk with no regret. Hey, what do you think? You play Zerg, what would you think of this build? And I'm sure they theory craft back and forth with each other.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of that going on. It was a little bit of behind the scenes stuff that you don't see, but the games by Neeb seem pretty dominant between the two of them. So that was
Yeah.
interesting. And then the next thing that really uh, stood out to me was so Scarlet was losing to Neeb, and then in the grand finals, Polt ended up being there, and that's a lot of hype for the scene. Polt is one of these players. He is Korean, but he kind of is Team America. He represents North America. He plays on the server a bit, and a lot of people love Polt. He's the Terran, the dream. He represents all the great things about
Yeah.
dropping and multitasking, and he ended up in the grand finals against True.
I mean, Polt. Don't get me wrong. Polt is a good player. He's better than me. He's better than both of us combined, to be honest.
He's better than a lot of people I know.
But if we're comparing, the strengths and weaknesses of these pro players, during this tournament, he had some games where he looked phenomenal and other games where he looked like shit, to be frank.
Yeah,
And that just surprised me that he looked so bad in some and good in others. I mean, it just was very unlike him, you know. Whereas True played solid the entire week.
yeah,
I
that's
mean, he 3-0'd almost everyone, to get to the finals. I mean, so did Polt, but like I said, the games where he would lose, a game, it would be where, it's like he did something odd or, lost to something that maybe he should have been able to hold, you know.
yeah.
It was just really strange.
I think that was kind of the interesting thing about it. I know a lot of people that are Zergs are really struggling against Terran right now, and True just came out looking a lot better than Polt. And I think that kind of goes to show that we're talking about the separation right now. WCS Koreans, who are playing in the Korean leagues can't participate in these tournaments, and True
Right.
decided to give up on the Korean leagues and come over and hope to dominate the WCS system. And so
Yeah.
far, he did it without any hiccups. I mean, he really made Polt look like a inferior player in that matchup. And like
Yeah.
you're saying, Polt didn't look like he played his best. I think that he got a little bit, maybe didn't prepare enough. It just looked like it was a very one-sided match. And toward these finals, a lot of them seemed that way. So I think that was the big take-home message from that dream hack.
Yeah. Well, the other thing with True, I mean, that was I want to say it was his first WCS event, and he's already got a trip to BlizzCon. If you win one of those events, you automatically secure your trip.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
that's a big thing about the way these tournaments are right now. I mean, we have 8 spots coming from Korea, 8 spots coming from the WCS system, and you win one of these tournaments, and you're automatically there on the biggest stage at the end of the year at BlizzCon. So
Hmm.
it'll be cool to see him there. I think he deserves it. He's a good player. You can say maybe he didn't go about it the way that he should have as a player who was competing in the Korean leagues, but he won the tournament, so there it is. He's going to be at BlizzCon.
Yeah. I mean, he was Code S, and he did
Yeah,
give that up, but so far it's working out.
absolutely, yeah. So now that we've finished talking about the foreigners, well, we do have the WCS Mexico City coming out, and I don't think we have the brackets ready, but I was thinking it'd be cool to kind of just talk about that because that'll be, I think, the last tournament before BlizzCon, right?
Yeah. They've done a couple qualifiers yet. I haven't checked who's gone or who's getting there. But if I had to guess, I mean it's going to be typical cast. I mean I expect to see a laser, Euthermal, Calthazar, uh, True will be there, Scarlet Neeb, you know, all the typical gang, you could say.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's pretty much it in terms of the foreign tournaments. I like to see the way the Dream Hacks have been going. A lot of these things we don't have as many tournaments as we used to have in the scene right now, but I think the ones that we've had have been fun to watch. Not as
Yeah.
many viewers, obviously, as it used to be with StarCraft, but I think it's been good productions and a lot of fun to watch.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah, so and it's really an exciting time right now for StarCraft. I think it's going to slow down a little bit toward the end of the year, but we have a lot of these Korean tournaments that are coming up toward the end of their brackets. And I think the first one we wanted to talk about was the SSL. And let me go ahead and put it up. Yeah, our topics. So yeah, the SSL. So we're down to the round of the semifinals, so the round of four, and I only really want to talk about that. The the finalists that made it through were Dark, Classic, Solar, and Patience. And did you get a
Mhm.
chance to watch any of these games?
I watched the Dark vs Classic.
Yeah, I think that that's a couple of players that have really been performing well lately. Like Dark just looks extremely solid. He's been performing well across the board. Obviously,
Mhm.
he was the winner of last season's SSL, and he's continuing to show dominance. I didn't actually watch his game against TY in the quarterfinals, but I think he did pretty well there. He took a 3-1 victory, and TY, he's one of these Terrans that really has a lot of uh, very, he's got a lot of micro. He goes in there. He's really aggressive with these Zergs, and Dark took it 3-1 on him. And Dark has a really interesting style. I like how he plays against Protoss, and he's one of these guys that can macro up, but he'll hit a timing as well. And it's cool to see him continuing to go on and do well in this tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think some of that comes in with TY being such a young player.
Right.
I mean, not that he, I would say, gets nervous, but his just lack of experience in general, where Dark's been around for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Um, he's had a lot more time to develop his style. Uh, and like I said, TY is very good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's obviously one of the best Terrans, but like I said, just with Dark's maybe wisdom, he has that as an advantage.
Yeah. And I happen to be a person that's not too fond of Zerg. Um, at least when I'm playing against them. But in these, in the current meta in Korea, boy, you got to root for these Zergs because they are having a hard time. But Dark
Yeah,
is kind of showing that he's really adapting with the meta, the way that things are changing, and I'm glad to see him in there. And he'll be playing against Classic. Classic had to go up against Stats in the quarterfinals, and that was to me really impressive. Classic's been one of these guys that's, as long as I've been watching professional StarCraft, he's always been there. He's always been one of the greats. I think he's won a GSL, he's won an SSL, but Stats to me, he's one of the best Protoss playing right now.
yeah, he is. I mean, it's a little surprising that Classic won. Um, but it was a close game. I mean, it did go 2-3. So I mean, it wasn't like it was a blowout. I mean, it could have went, either way. Um, and I honestly could have seen either of them going forward.
I think both of these guys really like to utilize in PvP the newer style, which is a lot of the adept
Yeah,
immortal. It's really strong, and both of them have kind of found their way with that.
yeah,
And a lot of PvP is being played in Pro League and in these matches, and I think that that's a matchup that Classic feels pretty comfortable with. So kudos to him for getting there. And yeah, he'll be playing against Dark in the semifinals. And in the bottom half of the bracket, it was Solar 3-0ing Deer, and I did watch this, and Deer, oh dear, he got wrecked, and it was pretty interesting to me because Solar came out with some really aggressive styles, and Deer looked like he wanted to play kind of the more traditional Immortal Phoenix charge lot kind of style, and Solar just took advantage of him. He came in with a lot of aggression and never let him build up the superior Protoss army. And 3-0ing Deer, I think, is a pretty good accomplishment for Solar, who, he hasn't been one of the stronger Zergs lately, but he's in the semifinals now, the SSL.
yeah. I definitely didn't think Solo would make it that far. I mean, he's played very well. He's pulled out a couple of wins, but yeah, for him to 3-0 Deer is pretty darn impressive. Maybe Deer thought, Solar, I got this, and then just that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, and it looked like he was maybe not on top of the meta, showing
Yeah.
a different style than a lot of the Protoss are playing right now, and Solar just punished him.
He ended up being a deer in the headlights.
Oh, the dad joke is real.
The cringe is real.
Cringeworthy. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the last game that we had in the quarterfinals was Zest and Patience, and Zest went down, and I watched this series, and Zest came out and got cannon rushed on New Gettysburg,
Hmm.
had a perfect defense against Patience, and just looked like he was going to absolutely wreck this nerd. And then Patience came out and just found a way to kind of deflect everything that Zest was doing. And Zest has a very particular play style, and everybody really loves the way he plays. It's very aggressive. Sometimes, you could say a little bit like a shenanigan, like a kind of a trying
Sure.
to exploit things a bit. And
Right.
Patience kind of knew it was coming, and it looked like he prepared very well for this. Ended up going after that first game 3-0, and Zest is out of the SSL. So I think that's one of the interesting stories here. Zest not performing in the SSL, and he's out of it now.
I mean, it is surprising that he didn't win, but at the same time, I mean, Zest has lost to players that you could say lack in comparison to skill. Like, I mean, he lost to MC in Pro League. Um, he's lost to other players like that where they're just, they haven't typically lived up to his level.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, it's odd that he can be one of the best and lose to someone who is very mediocre
yeah,
currently.
and I think that's he looked so good when Legacy of the Void came out. The first season of all the Korean leagues, it was I think everyone was kind of getting used to the game, and he seemed to just pick up much quicker than everybody else. He was doing things that
Yeah.
it looked like he'd been playing this game for a long time, and I think people have kind of just at this point figured him out a little bit. Obviously, he's still one of the best players in StarCraft right now, but not
Yeah.
looking as good lately.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, so that kind of wraps it up for the SSL. And did you have anything you want to talk about on the GSL front?
Yeah. So GSL, we recently just had a couple of good games. I believe we are down to the round of four, if
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
so.
mistaken. Round of four. So we had Hero versus SOS, and we had Gumiho versus Myunshik. And it was holy buckets. Those were some good games. SOS completely stomps Hero.
Yeah,
3 O's him. I mean, he plays so smart. I mean, at one point, they had a pretty even army, and SOS has a couple of phoenixes, and he lifts up Heroes Immortals to
yeah,
completely just negate them whatsoever. And it's like he just plays. He's like on a different level. With his harassments. I mean, just in general, like he played so smart during that game too. He was also using his DTs, and when he was going in, and he was immediately sniping off heroes observers,
yeah.
so that those DTs, would be able to do damage. Just playing like a god, basically.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think Hero, to me, Hero's one of these guys that you think about Hero, CJ Hero, and you're like, oh, that's a good player right there. But I feel like he
mhm,
hasn't been as much of that guy, and maybe SOS to a bit too. But SOS, he's got that thing where you just can't predict what he's going to do. You talk about some of these players, you know their style, you know what they like, and SOS kind of defies that. And
yeah,
PvP is one of these matchups where you can do a lot of interesting things. And I think you're talking about the Phoenixes, a lot of players like to do that, just get a few Phoenix, really micro intensive to pick up these powerful Protoss units. And SOS making it through. Maybe he's going to be the BlizzCon champion again. I mean, who knows, right?
it
Back
could
to
happen.
back.
I mean, he played absolutely sick, like I was saying, and just in general, like he's just a solid player. Like it doesn't matter if he's going for a cheese or if he's doing a macro build. I mean, he's got like such great control of each unit. It's just so impressive to watch that. When someone is able to get off, like those perfect, the perfect the force fields. Like I said, picking up those immortals at just the right moment. I mean, it's just so impressive to be able to watch that.
Yeah. I know a lot of people say that they don't enjoy the new legacy. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. It's really micro intensive and a lot of these small little skirmishes, and especially in PvP, you're talking about those force fields, especially with
Hmm.
this new adept style. Hitting those force fields, getting the immortals out of the fight. It can be just one force field or one engagement or one pickup really turns the tide of a fight. And PvP fun to watch again.
Yeah. So in the other set, then we had Mianchik versus Gumiho, which is you kind of have some two younger guys. Gumiho is a crowd favorite, obviously
Yeah.
the Towel Terran, and Mianchik the bad boy Protoss, as Tasteless and Artosis were calling him, the bad boy nerd. Game one, Mianchik leads off with a proxy robo pylon rush, and then just completely shuts down Gumiho. Just no chance to do anything with that. So then Gumiho comes back, does a proxy factory Widowmine drop, and then he does this push that he had with one Liberator and a Cyclone, and then just kind of zoned Mianshik out. It's like he couldn't do anything. and it was immediately GG. With because all he had was adepts, and that Cyclone was just hiding the adepts,
Yeah, I know the
and the
feeling.
Widow Mines had killed all the probes. I mean, it was there was nothing he could do.
Yeah, and I think that's something we've been seeing a lot from these Terrans lately. Bring it back the Cyclone, or I shouldn't say bring it back, just bring it into the
Yeah,
meta.
yeah. And then game three, Myanchik took it. I mean, it was just a longer macro game. Um, it was interesting that he didn't get Thermal Lance for his Colossus. But Gumiho didn't have a lot of Vikings, so it kind of didn't matter at that point. And then game four, Gumiho went back and won that one. Um, Myanchik tried to do like a proxy robo, like a 5-gate adept drop, uh, and it just didn't work. Gumiho was just able to hold it, defend, and then ended up winning. So then it came down to the last match. I mean, it was very close. It ended up being 3-2, and then Myunchik took it with Gumiho tried to do a 3-rack open, and Myunchik countered it with a proxy Stargate build, and then just went into a Depth Sentry Void Ray composition, um, and then just completely shut him down, and then took it.
And I noticed that a lot of these Korean players are bringing a lot more sentries into the versus Terran matchup, and it's they use them so well. It's
I
it's
mean,
pretty inspiring.
if you can use your sentries correctly, which I think in lower leagues are totally underutilized because I mean Guardian Shield can save you in so many different situations and it's so good for what it does. Plus I mean obviously force fields, right? Being able to lock them either on the low ramp you're up in the main, you lock them out, or you're in the natural, you lock them out of getting into the natural. I mean, if you have good force fields, I mean that it can make the difference, or force fielding around a bunker, denying the repair,
Yeah,
in the early game. It's things like that that it takes you from from this level, and then brings you up to the top.
yeah, because I always feel like it's such a strong unit in PvZ and even in PvP, but seeing these Protoss who are using it at the high level in Korea against Terrans, it's cool. It's fun to watch,
Yeah, I agree.
and I think a little bit of a sad story for the GSL is that we don't have any Zergs in it. I mean, I guess there's no Terrans in the SSL, and that's too bad. But for the round of eight, not having any Zergs was kind of tough, and seeing some of these Zergs just get annihilated it feels bad. I'd
Yeah,
like to see a little bit more because this is my favorite tournament to watch. Obviously, it's commentated by some of the best casters with Tasteless and Artosis, and
definitely. Speaking of them, during one of the games, Artosis is still trying to make the in control pylon work. Uh, he's still trying for
yeah,
that.
yeah, he
It's
is.
yeah, but at this point, you got to just own it. You just
It's like
got to own it.
it's like does In Control even play StarCraft anymore? I mean, this is your thing, right? Just
I
be that
I
guy.
think he I think he plays 40K now. I don't even know if he really plays StarCraft anymore.
He plays a bit, I see him, but
I
yeah, I
see
mean,
him every
just
now and
just
again
own the
online.
Artosis pylon, right? It's
Yeah, you got to own that. It's time.
so the two matches that we have coming up still to determine the round of four is going to be Rung versus Byun, and Byun, what a story in this GSL. I mean, he's been getting the crowds excited, been a fun player to watch, being so emotional out there, and I hate to see it be a TVT, but I think he could still make it through here. I mean, Ryun isn't the worst draw that you could have.
No, I think Beyond takes that. I think it's a close game. I think maybe like a 3-1 or a 3-2 in Beyond's favor.
And the next match we have is Deer versus TY, and Deer got eliminated in the SSL, and TY, I feel like against Protoss he's more in his strength. I feel like it's a little bit more of his comfort zone, even though it's a matchup a
Mhm.
lot of people don't feel comfortable with. So I'm really hoping he makes it through there. Um, I guess we'd have another mirror matchup. Would that be the case? But you know, go TY in this case. I think it's. I want him to be there. I like him. He's the young guy. He's playing the game at a high level, and I'm really hoping moves on from that. Do you,
Yeah.
do you think he's the favorite there?
You know what I do? I think Ty with his multitasking abilities will be able to shut Deer down pretty easily. I could see that going. I could see that being a 3-0 game.
I don't know. I'd say Deer. And I think Protoss is really strong right now. I'd probably give him the edge, and I'd even think I'd maybe give Young the edge there. But I'm certainly rooting for Bian and TY. So maybe we'll have another TVT in the bottom half of the brackets and a PvP up top. And well, then we know at least we don't have a mirror matchup in the finals, and that's good, right?
Yeah, it could be. Also, I believe that that is tonight
Yeah, it should be
for that
because
next round.
tonight's Thursday or today's Thursday, so
Yep,
Friday
so
morning.
Friday. Yep.
Yeah,
Maybe watching that as soon as I wake up. Eat my breakfast, eat my Cheerios, and watch my StarCraft.
that's nice. You see, I'm on the West Coast, so I just have to watch the VODs. There's no way you can wake up at like 2 in the morning. I mean,
Well, you could, yeah.
well,
You could, you could work third shift.
I, I've done it before, and it just makes for a horrible day.
Yeah, I agree.
When I was in New Orleans, I watched it live. Being on the East Coast, it's a little bit easier. But
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and it does make it a little bit easier. My alarm goes off, and then it's like, hey, GSL's on. Do you want to watch? It's like, of course.
yeah, man, all these Europeans just have it way too easy. They get it like in the morning.
Noon, yeah. Oh my God, Alkin's like, oh, I get to watch it at the afternoon. I have my brunch. I eat my sausage, and I watch the GSL. That's good.
Yeah, just squat down and watch it. Listen to our toast
Right,
cast.
just the Slavic squat. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great life. But us here in America, we have to really make sacrifices to
Yeah.
watch this Korean StarCraft. So, um,
With great game comes great responsibility. With great passion.
that's right. So I think we're a little bit over on talking about the Korean scene. So I'm going to kind of briefly just go over the Pro League. We ended up having the Africa Freaks, I believe, go against SKT, if I'm not mistaken, and
For the finals.
I don't know. It was against they were against the Green Wings, huh?
Are you talking about
No,
the
no,
finals?
not for the finals. The finals,
Oh,
it's SKT
yeah,
and
SKT,
KT.
KT. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I'm trying to pull that up, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I think it was Green Wings versus KT Rolster.
Yeah, but I think in general, a lot of what I've been seeing in the Pro League, spoilers, it's already over, and the Green Wings ended up winning it, and I think that they were the underdog here. Uh, SKT looked like a really strong team, and both of the games ended up going 4-3. It was down to the wire, and it was a lot of really interesting games. We saw people coming out with a lot of cheese, and I think that one of the more interesting things that we saw was a lot of PvP, um,
Yeah,
a lot of adepts, more adepts, and then some adepts. But from the Terrans, we saw some Cyclone play, and Innovation came out with a Cyclone play um, against Protoss in the initial series of the first of the two games between the teams, and didn't do well with it. But some of the Terrans were going for Cyclones and essentially mass Cyclones against Zerg, and I thought that was pretty interesting because that's something I have never seen. We
I
see
mean,
people trying to go Skymech, but Cyclones are something really new to the meta in that matchup.
I think that if you, I mean, it takes incredible control to do it correctly, but with the lock on and basically the ability to infinitely kite, I mean, it's such a smart move. With being able to do a lock on and then running them into some siege tanks, I mean, that makes for a good combo.
Well, the interesting thing about it was there wasn't a whole lot of siege tank play. It was kind of just Cyclone and more Cyclone because it's an expensive unit, but
Yeah,
they
true.
have the ability to. In one of the games on Overgrowth, we saw it was Mass Cyclone against Muta, and it was kind of interesting to see that because it just takes so much control. I think it's the
Yeah,
interesting
it
thing to me
does.
was that I don't think we're going to see these Terrans eh, in the foreign scene doing this. I think it's something that we might just see in the Korean leagues because it's such a difficult thing to execute. Um,
Yeah,
but we did end up seeing KT roster take the championship, and I think that was kind of cool. I think they have a really good team right now. Classic had some really good games. I think the other player who had some really good games in this series was Dark. He looks strong against Protoss. He looks strong in general, and he's been playing
Dark's
really
been
well,
turning up. Yeah,
especially for Zerg. I mean, and his team didn't have a problem throwing him out there and saying, go ahead and get some. And I thought that was kind of fun to watch.
yeah. No, he's keeping Zerg on the map right now. He's one
Yeah,
of the only ones that's been able to stay, really really competitive.
yeah. So with Pro League wrapping up, we just have the SSL and GSL to watch, and I think that'll be it for the year. So make sure to stay tuned. Check out a few of those games if you haven't yet. There's a VODs available on YouTube, and yeah, Korean scene is really fun to watch. Some high level players, and just people who are making us look like absolute failures of life, but it's fun to watch
Basically,
nonetheless.
basically.
What did you want to be when you were growing up, Toast?
I always wanted to be a frog.
Oh, because I always just want to be a disappointment.
No, well, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Oh, sorry, that was bad. But I guess I didn't do it either. Oh my gosh.
So
Uh,
SC StarCraft is getting a patch, and I think it's really interesting to talk about this. I don't want to talk about the specifics, but I just want to talk about the fact that Blizzard is planning to patch the game. I imagine it's going to be after BlizzCon.
it would have to be. It would have to change the meta before before BlizzCon. I think would be insane,
Yeah,
and I don't think we'll see that happen. But yeah, guys, if you haven't tried it yet, get out there, play the test map, see what you think. They are going off of feedback based on what the community has to say and also the pro, what they have to say. Um, my one thing is, yeah, I play Protoss, and I think Dark Templars are pretty cool. I think that giving the DTs blink is a little bit silly.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too much into specifics. There's a lot of changes essentially that are being
Yeah.
proposed, and it's all theoretical. I mean, when when Legacy of the Void was announced, I think that Blizzard kind of went into it and said, "Look, we didn't really spend as much time as we needed to in the test phase, and we're going to make some changes." And everybody said, "Yeah, whatever. We'll believe that when we see it." Well, we're seeing it. I mean, they're going out there and they're saying we're going to entirely change this game. I think a lot of people are kind of disappointed by it. It's a huge change. I mean, it's essentially going to be an entire balance. Everything you know about StarCraft is going to change, and I think it scares some people. I think it's like you don't want to see everything you know about the game completely changed.
Yeah, I mean it depends on which things do go through. I mean, obviously not all of those things they propose are going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, whatever ones do will change the meta.
Yeah,
Whether it's the Roach Ravs being or the Ravagers being armored now, or just Swarm Hosts being more cost effective, or even the carriers having the interceptors be like 5 minerals. So we'll have to find out later when the patch comes.
yeah. So I think we'll maybe talk about the patch specifics in another edition of the Dank Shrine, but I think in general, I just want to say that it's kind of interesting because you look at a game like Brood War. Everybody loves Brood War, and it never changed after the most recent patch, and it's been the same for a decade. And people still play it at a high level, and it's still innovative and fun. Um, so I think this is a stark contrast to that. I think Blizzard's maybe at a point saying, "Okay, we didn't do this quite the way that we wanted to," and I think credit to them for going out there and making it be a little bit different. Going out there and trying to improve the game. I mean, they're seeing some things and they're going and saying, "All right, let's give it a mix up. Let's see if we can make it better." So I think it's good that they're not just saying, "All right, here's StarCraft. We're done with this." They're taking an active stance
Yeah.
and trying to balance it. So we'll see what
I,
it looks like when it's all said and done. But there's some big changes, and credit for trying to make the game better, trying to keep the community active, and maybe some people will come back to it after some of these changes are made, right?
yeah. I mean that's the only way to find out. Is just to wait and see what happens. But I think part of it's keeping the game fresh and keeping it interesting.
Yeah.
That's how you keep your community.
Yeah, so I think a different path than Brood War, but I'm interested to see how it goes. I know there's some of these patches that look interesting, some of them that don't look interesting, but we can talk about the specifics maybe in the next edition. So, other news in StarCraft, we have a little bit of a team change.
Yeah, Acer becoming a team again, but deciding not to go with the team name of Acer and instead going with what was it, Team Expert,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah,
in my opinion is a very amateur sounding name.
it's kind of tooting your own horn, right?
Yeah, kind of. I think yeah, calling yourself an expert. I think anytime you're saying, "Well, I'm an expert," it's either one of two things. You're just very cocky, or you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I know that's a team that's popular. It's Scarlet's team,
Yeah,
um, but hopefully with the change, they're trying to bring on some new players. I know that there's a lot of the teams have kind of fizzled out a bit. So hopefully this can bring maybe bring in some new players,
hmm
make things grow a little bit. So I'd like to see that be the case
sure.
because it kind of feels like it's Root right now. In
Yeah.
terms of teams, it's like Root and everybody else.
Going off of that, actually, something that I recently saw is, do you know who's looking for a new player? Is Team Liquid.
Really?
Yep, they're going to sign a new player at some point. They asked the community, "Who would you like to see?" And from what I could tell, as far as what the community wanted, we might be seeing a liquid Euthermal.
I like that. I love me some Uthermi. He is a great player. He puts in, he's got that really attitude. Yeah, well, he was in the IEM Shanghai finals, I want to say, against a Protoss, and I forget who it was, but I remember him proxying things all across the map. Putting a proxy barracks, a proxy starport, and
Yeah, I remember that game. I don't remember what match that was
I
though, but I
can't
do
remember who it
remember
was
the game you're
against. I
talking
want to
about.
say
Yeah,
it was against Neeb even, and he just
it could have been it.
I think it was him against Neeb, and I really like Thermal. I love watching his streams. He's the Terran school. He brings a lot of people from the community to the game, tries to teach them the game a little bit, and I think he approaches it from a different point of view, and he's got a good attitude. So I think that would be great. Uh, I was hoping that when you said that Team Liquid was bringing in a new player, you might be saying it was Toast, but
I
my
mean, liquid toast doesn't sound very appealing yet.
that's true. That's true.
I mean, I might have to go through a name change or something to be on liquid, but
It
maybe
sounds
liquid
like one of
growth.
those things from the future. You get like the tube of food. It's the liquid toast, right, from the Jetsons.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants that.
I like my toast a little bit crunchy. I don't know.
That's kind of
Call me old fashioned.
that sounds like the combination of the toothpaste and orange juice. It's awful.
Oh, don't even get me started.
I'm
So,
I'm I'm too happy with being BornGosu toast.
oh yeah, that sounds just right. So speaking of BornGosu, we're gonna go a little bit over our in-house leagues, and well, the CSL is the first thing we want to go over, and the CSL isn't necessarily BornGosu. It's the Chobo Team League's Star League, which normally the Chobo Team League focuses on the different teams in the league. I think there's 7 or 8 teams at this point.
8 teams now, I believe. And yeah, basically how they break it down and the easiest way I can compare it is the CSL is more like GSL, so that's your individual league, whereas the CTL, which is the team league, is more like GTSL or what GSTL? GSTL.
The Pro League.
Well, yeah, it used to be GSTL, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So Pro League is the main thing that Chobo Team League does. Everybody sends out their players on one, and the CSL is essentially whoever wants to can sign up, and essentially it's the higher level players. Masters aren't allowed. It's mostly diamonds, and yeah. So there's some BornGosu players who are going to be representing, and I wanted to bring up the bracket. So CSL, here we go. Yeah, so I mostly wanted to focus on some of the players that we have here on BornGosu. And this is the group stages. So we have quite a few players. I think we have 32 at this point. And we don't have too many BornGosu players playing. Our first is going to be Cyrex, who's one of our Zergs. And as you can see here, he's going up against quite a few other Zergs. Let me put this in full screen so we can all see it. Yeah, so this here is Cyrex, and he is in a group of all Zergs. And I don't know if this is good for him or not. I feel like he's a player that maybe ZVZ isn't his strongest matchup, but I think he could prepare something for this and have some effectiveness. I know he doesn't like ZVT, so I'm sure he's happy he doesn't have too many Terrans in the group.
I mean, I feel like ZVZ right now, especially within the the Chobo League, is basically just bling bling. I mean, you're either 13-12 or you're 14-14.
Yeah. So for people who aren't familiar with CTL, it's lower level players, and it has a nice tradition of not going to macro games. That'd be the nice way
Yeah.
to say it.
Yeah, it's very cheesy because it's only a best of one unless you're playing your ace match.
Yeah.
Um,
Now
I
these are
mean,
best of threes, so it's a little bit different, but still, the
sure.
cheese is strong. Most of these players have some specific builds in mind, and they're trying to execute them. And yeah, the cheddar—that's what we're talking about here.
The straight cheese.
That's straight cheese. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you like it whipped or in a can or a little bit
Swiss.
Swiss. Swiss is always a good
Yeah.
option. I like that.
Mon-
I like that
Monster.
horseradish cheese personally. But yeah, hopefully Cyrex has some good cheesy builds prepared. He can focus completely on ZVZ and maybe make it out of that group and represent BornGosu.
Yeah.
The other player we have is a Yubo. And as we said, Zergs have a hard time with Terrans, and a Yubo is one of our. He's a European, correct?
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got
I
3 Terrans in his group. So
I
yeah.
think he has a good chance. He plays Zerg primarily, and he's Diamond Zerg. But he just recently got Diamond on NA with random.
Yeah.
So like I feel like he has a very good grasp of other races. Where Cyrex is, like I just play Zerg. Like I understand how Zerg works, how you understands how Terran plays, how Protoss plays, and how Zerg plays from his own
So
perspective.
what that means is when the Terran is multi-dropping his army, he'll know how easy it was for the Terran to be beating his ass, right?
Exactly. Or maybe he can drop his worm in the Terran base. You
I'd
know,
love to see him bring out some wordplay, but yeah, Yubo I think with a tough matchup against these Terrans, but you know what? If he pulls it out, all the more impressive.
definitely.
Yeah, so Group E, and if you can see this, hopefully everybody can see the groups here, but there aren't too many
Maybe zoom in a
Protoss.
little bit more if you can. There you go.
All right, so let me bring it over. All right, I have to zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, so if you can see here, the red is Zerg, the blue is Terran, and there's a little bit of green sprinkled in here. And those are Protoss players. It's kind of a dead race. People don't like to play Protoss these days, and representing very few Protoss here in this CSL. 3 of this total of 6 are in Group E, and 2 of the 4 players are coming from BornGosu. So it's gonna be myself, Zillifrom, and Savage Sam, and we actually have to play each other right off the bat. So a tough matchup. I think Sam's a really good player. Um, I know I have maybe practiced as much as I should have. We're playing each other this Sunday. I'm not expecting great results, but I'm excited to play Sam. It's always fun, and yeah, hopefully one of us can make it out of here. Hopefully both of us can make it out of here. That'd be really awesome. So I'll give it my best. I'll try to give good games to the fans.
Keep the team dream alive. One of you has to.
That's right. So BornGosu trying to make it through here, and I think that's it. I think we only have the 4 players in
Yep.
the CSL. Yeah. So Tim wasn't able to play because he's a master.
Right. Tim got Masters. Speaking of Tim, shout outs to Tim. No longer with us. As far as the team goes, he's still alive. Let's just make that clear. Uh, he left. He's dealing with some personal stuff. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out for Tim. Stay strong, buddy. Dick's out for Tim.
Yeah. I mean, you guys can't see it, but my dick's been out the whole time, and that's for Tim
It's
specifically.
it's it's for him. Harambe too, but mostly Tim.
That's right. That's right. So the next thing we want to talk about is the CTL results.
Yeah.
So we just finished week 1 for the Chobo Team League, and we were playing the Formless Bear Sloths.
Well, I mean, playing. It was more like we were riding in the passenger car, right into a T-bone collision. Um,
We took that roundhouse kick to the face, as you so gracefully
elo-
said in your
yeah,
newsletter.
eloquently mentioned. Yeah, that's another thing too, guys. If you haven't seen, we do a weekly newsletter for our matches. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We can get that to you pretty easily, and we'll probably post that along with the videos.
Yeah, if you're a member of BornGosu, it's always in the updates and general chat. So every week we give a rundown on the upcoming matches, and we're gonna go over last week's matches. So the first one that we had was Darth Julius, and I think this player got subbed.
No, he played.
That was him.
He just has a weird name.
Yeah, so he's playing
Like
TN4 or 5421.
yeah,
So
his
apparently
that's
he's some sort of
That's his
Terminator.
StarCraft name. But his Discord name is like Steve.
Oh, Steve, good old Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so this was the first game we had in the docket. This was a silver match, and Darth Julius is pretty new to the clan. Uh, well, I don't have those, but Darth Julius versus the Zerg, and this was a match that Darth Julius prepared a lot for, and he ended up losing this. And I think that he could perform better. I know that I saw a lot of his practice games. He did really well in them, and then he came out in this one, and he got some early aggression,
Mm.
kind of got behind a little bit, and then his attack wasn't maybe as strong as it could have been. He made a couple micro mistakes, and I think that in the lower leagues it's really hard for Protoss to play Zerg. So I'm hoping that he is continuing to improve. I know he's trying really hard to continue to get customs and give it his best. So yeah, he ended up losing here, but I think he can definitely improve. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he plays a good macro style. I mean, I think where he needs to get a little more involved is just with army management versus economy management.
Yeah, maybe taking a third base there
Yeah.
behind the push. That's a big part about being Protoss. So do you want to go over game two?
Sure. Yeah. Game two, we had Evil Flame versus Coast. Evil Flame is another new player. I had an opportunity to play him. He's a Terran player. Coast being Zerg. It's not his strongest matchup. But you know what? He did end up taking that match. And I want to say, I don't think he three raxed. I'm trying to remember what he did in that
I
game.
think he held some cheese, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think that was when they had the heavy lane aggression and he was able to just hold it off.
And I think that's a good shout out to the players in BornGosu. You know, a good thing about our group is that everybody helps each other. You know, you look at the map and play some customs with the players, and I think a lot of people said, you know, tanks are really strong on this map. You know, Madanks, as you will.
Yeah.
So yeah, congratulations to Evil Flame for taking the victory there.
Game three. This was actually our first game of the week. We had Rook, another new player, Romanian Terran. Uh,
A memester, huh?
yeah, he's pretty dank. Another Slavic squatter. But he took a page out of the Skyhook handbook and did a standard three racks and won.
Yeah, three racks is a good build. For those of you who aren't aware, you build Reapers and you win the game.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
I don't play TVT, but I've heard stories.
I've heard as well. Yeah.
And Hugo Ahab or Sam Savage Sam was playing against Eat My Diction. Eat My Diction, I think, is a pretty good player. He's a Terran. I know that this game was kind of a long macro game. I didn't watch the replay. Uh,
Yeah,
Sam,
it ended up just going late game from what I understand.
what map was this on? Galactic Process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those maps where it's pretty easy for the Terran to kind of use the drops between the third and the
Yep.
main base. So
And that's basically what happened. I mean, my addiction was able to get off, the Doom drops, shut down Sam's, economy and his warpins, and from there it's history.
yeah, but shout outs to Sam. You know, he ended up taking the loss there, but he's been playing well lately.
He
I've
has been.
casted some of his games, and his micro lately is on point, and you know he's gonna have to prove that on Sunday when we play. But
Yeah.
yeah, he ended up taking the loss there, but played a. I know that Eat My Diction's a good player, and Ricky Rose, our gold player, was playing against. Was this player replaced too? I don't think so, right?
No, this one played. I don't think we had. I think we only had maybe the one sub there.
All right, so it was JJSCPM, a PVT matchup for Ricky Rose. Uh, I practiced with her a lot too, and I think that she did a really good job in her game. I think that she could have won this, and I think she should have won this. A couple mistakes in terms of not knowing when to push, and
Yeah.
like I said, PVZ is a really tough matchup for players who are just kind of learning the game and getting comfortable with it. So
I
hopefully
mean,
she'll be able to learn from that. But I think she played pretty damn well.
I don't blame her. I mean, I still have a problem with PVZ. I mean,
Yeah,
it is a tough matchup. I mean, for low level for Pro in general, I feel like Zerg has the advantage and with the taking that fast hatchery and then kind of being able to keep you in that base until you have something in general.
yeah,
I feel like they have the jump on you. You have to deal economic damage at some
yep.
point, or you're done.
Well, that's what Ricky Rose did. She dealt economic damage, and she did a good job of that. But it's a tough matchup. I know at the higher leagues it's not, but for the lower leagues it certainly can be. So Ricky Rose lost there, but I think she'll be able to improve in that matchup, and I think that it was a pretty good performance by her in general.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to our sixth game, which was Outlaw, our new Protoss, another pretty meme mother effer
Yeah.
against Nemo Rex. I
Yeah.
don't think I watched this one. Did you?
I didn't, but he took a play out of my playbook, and he did a very nice cheese.
Well, that's great. Another good example of BornGosu members helping each other.
Yep. I believe he did a three-gate robo and just booty slap Nemo.
What a great build. Someday you
Yeah.
got to show me that one. I've tried to get it and I've never really followed through on learning that. But one of these days you have to show me how to
I
process
think.
robo
Well,
and
I think I've
PKs.
seen you do it. I think your biggest problem is you wait too long.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it properly. I've never learned that
You got to practice your cheese.
build.
We got to work
uh,
on that.
Toast, you know your cheese, that's for sure. So our
I do.
seventh game was
Honestly.
kind of anticlimactic. We had Mashu, who's a one of our uh, our great players. I'd say been around forever and really strong style against Harrow, who likes to hang out in our Discord channel. I think he's one of the more chatty players. His level in the Meebot is pretty high, and they didn't get to play.
Yeah, double walkover. They couldn't get the match scheduled, and just didn't happen. So very, very disappointing. Since I wouldn't say it was BM, but we had a little talking between them because Haro had kind of a strategy plan for Mashu. He knew what he kind of wanted to do against him, and then uh, and then Mashu just says, I've never heard of him. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, that's Mashu for you.
That's true.
I think Mashu definitely could have won that game, but at the same time, it is hard. Mashu works night shift, so it can be
Yeah,
difficult to schedule the matches. So
definitely.
yeah, but just a word to all the players from BornGosu watching: schedule your matches, schedule your matches, and most importantly, don't get a walkover.
And let the admins know what's going on with your scheduled matches,
Yeah,
like when you're playing, and if you actually PM'd your opponent.
yeah. So always message your opponent over Chobo Team League and avoid the walkovers because let's just say it, Mashu would have wrecked Taro, right?
I think so. I think that could have been the clincher for us, if not the at least to get a tie. I'm not for sure. Do you know do we have a tiebreaker system, or does it just go to a tie?
I think that it is a best of five rock paper scissors.
Oh,
No,
interesting.
I have no idea how that works. I think it's actually a tie.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Maybe, or you know what? Maybe it's the ace match.
Well, that would make sense because the ace match is the eighth match, so you could go 4-4. You wouldn't know until that match is played if it was tied.
Yeah, and speaking of ace match, which is typically masters, sometimes it's diamonds, but in this case we had our masters Zerg Narwhal playing against a former Born Gosu member.
Yeah, Tassimba was Vintage, who left us this offseason just prior to the season starting. Wasn't happy apparently with something. Don't know what, but
The
found
memes are too dank.
uh,
That's what I heard.
that you know what it gets pretty dank in the chat, and sometimes people fit in, sometimes they don't. I mean, we've lost a couple players because of dankness, but you know what? I'm good with the dank level in there. If anything, I think we need to kick it up a couple notches.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't hang, well, that's your fault.
Exactly. If it's too hot, get out of my kitchen.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Tossimba, who was a pretty damn good player as a Terran, was playing Protoss, but he did end up getting the match over Narwhal 2-0.
Hmm.
And I don't know how those went because I tuned into his stream, but it was right as the matches were finishing, or I think had finished. So yeah, rip the dream. I didn't get to see those, but that did end up resulting in us losing week one,
Yep.
4-3.
Yep. It did end up being the game of death and the death of us for that week.
Yeah, and it's too bad. I mean, that's how it goes though sometimes.
Yep.
So next week we will play. What is it? Esports. What's the name of this team?
Daily Life Esports.
Daily Life Esports.
Well, strange name, strange logo,
They're from
stranger team
Canada.
captain. Everything about this team is actually really strange. Come to think of it, because I did my article and I interviewed one of their players, and it was strange. That's all I ever can really say about it.
I'm beginning to sense a theme here, Toes.
Me too. Me too. I I just don't even know what to say about them. It was just they're interesting.
They're
They're an
interesting, yeah.
interesting team.
And as you said, we've had the captain hanging around, being kind of weird and awkward. Um, we'll see what happens here. Hopefully, I know that we've already had some matches. We don't want to give any spoilers, but we're hoping to get a win. And yeah, we want to give these puppies a welcome of here's Team Born Gosu. Welcome to hell, bitches.
Pretty much. I really hope they enjoy being second best.
But it's cool. It's cool to see new teams joining. We have two new teams in the Chobo Team League this year.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, new faces, new teams, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. The other team being the Storm community team. They're new to the league this year. We knew someone who was playing for them, but apparently they're not around anymore. It's unfortunate. So I think you know who you are. I don't think you'll watch this, but you know who you are.
That's right. So the last thing we wanted to cover is the BornGosu Star League. So as we mentioned, we have a CSL, a Chobo Star League for the Team Chobo League, but we also have a Chobo Star League, or BornGosu Star League rather, just kind of an individual team league for the players from BornGosu.
I think you should explain on how these matches or how it is decided who plays in this.
Oh, that's a great point. So this is a pretty memey event. We like to bring in the interested players and essentially light the fire from underneath them and see who survives. And we like to call this Fanatic Arena. So Fanatic Arena essentially is a free for all, and by free for all, I'm not talking about your normal free for all where it's like a shit show and everybody is one basing each other. I'm talking about a free for all where you're all literally spawning next to each other in a circle. It is a absolute disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, I played it once and it was a complete shit show. I went in Zerg just because I feel like they would have the best advantage with spine
Absolutely true.
crawlers,
It is Zerg's OP in Fanatic Arena.
and that was the case. But because I suck with Zerg, I also lost first.
Well, people say Terran's strong too because he can float, and Terran ended up winning in my Fanatic Arena match. But I feel like Creep is really strong in Fanatic Arena.
Well, yeah, you can put creep down and then I can't build any pylons.
I was in the Fanatic Arena, and I got spawned next to two Zergs, and
Whew.
yeah, rip the dream.
Yep, get 400 minerals and leave.
That was how it went. Oh boy. So anyway, we have four groups. There's 16 players here for the BGSL. And yeah, Quickban and Banana Kex took the lead in Group A. Quickban's a pretty good Protoss from EU. Banana Kex has been around for a couple seasons now, a European as well. And yeah, he beat Corey. And who is MND AAU?
That's one of the new guys. It's like he's like silver.
Okay,
I think it's Wild Boys.
okay. Wild
I know
Boys.
it's not Wild Boys. But it's one of the other guys
I
from.
think Wild Boys plays Terran.
Yeah,
So one of our newer players here. Oh, MN. I think that's Matt. I think I know who that
yeah,
is.
yeah. That
Right,
is.
right on. Yeah, so we have Quickman and Banana Kicks here. So this is double elimination. So I think that we'll have Quickman and Banana Kicks playing each other, and then Corey and Matt playing each other for Group A. And then Group B, um, Ulkin and I took an advantage here. Each of us come out with a win. I played against KU or Anibrium, and Ulkin ended up beating a UBO. So we'll have a elimination series between a UO and KU, and then Ulkin and I will, or maybe already have, played each other. In Group C, it's Soundboy, who is that's the former Zerg, right? You were telling me
Which one?
Soundboy.
Yeah, that's Devin's brother Dylan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, yep. He was Master Zerg and has now switched to Protoss this Pyria race, and is now trying to make that work.
we need them. So yeah, took the advantage. Do you know who he played? Wild Boy. He played Wild Boy, I think. Yeah, I watched
Yeah,
that match. Yeah. So he
which
beat
was
Wild Boy, and
it
Savage
was
Sam took the
stomping.
advantage over Skyhook. So we'll have some mirror matches here for Group C. It'll be Soundboy and Savage Sam, and Skyhook against Wild Boy. I know Wild Boy's pretty new to StarCraft, so it's
Yeah.
unfortunate they'll have to face a 3 racks.
Well, it's better that he learns early.
Remember to pull your SCVs, Wild Boy. And Savage Sam against Soundboy. I know Savage Sam has a lot more experience playing Protoss, but that could be a fun one to watch.
That should be pretty close. I mean, Soundboy he plays very well. Um, According to Devin, he's actually a better Protoss player than he is Zerg player, and he was Masters at Zerg. So
Well, there you go. Protoss, easy race, easy life.
exactly, a move,
Hey, move,
pylons.
boys. So for Group D, we had the infamous Shine KO taking advantage over Wobbs. I know Wobbs is pretty salty about that. He felt like he didn't play his best, but Shine's a great player. He hasn't been playing a whole lot lately, but a former Masters player, um, putting in his work against the Zerg, and I know Zergs hate that matchup in general.
Yeah, I mean, China's a great player. A lot of BM builds.
It's
And
not
I
BM. It's just disrespectful.
right. And I think part of Wobbs' issue is I always feel like he's just a little bit overconfident. I feel like he either thinks he's not going to win, or he's so overconfident that it becomes a problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure he's pretty feeling pretty confident lately. He's out pimping all them college girls and stuff.
Right,
Living the life.
out at Virginia Tech.
That's right. Yeah. In fact, he's probably well. We want to keep this show PG, but you can imagine, right?
Well, in actuality, I'm sure he's sitting in his dorm room sweating his ass off because they have no AC.
Yeah. Rip. Oh man, poor Wobbs.
Dorm days.
So Sariti took the advantage over Ginger Hobbit. Ginger Hobbit is our gold Protoss player,
That's Ricky
and
Rose.
yep, Ricky Rose. I know. Sariti will be playing a TVT against Shine.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck.
Get ready for the what is it? The proxy ghost alien build.
I mean, I don't want to give anything away here, but Shine has some very disrespectful builds prepared.
I mean, it can't. It won't be as bad as that proxy battlecruiser rush that we saw Logan do that one time.
Yeah, that's full on disrespect.
Especially if you can make it work.
So the last match we have is going to be Wobbs against Ginger Hobbit. So that's Ricky Rose, and I'm thinking Wobbs. I know he feels a lot better about this matchup than he does against Zerg. So
Yeah, I think Wobbs takes that one easily.
I'll probably take that, but hopefully Ginger Hobbit can do something with her. I know she's been practicing, and hopefully she isn't putting in too much time to WoW and still putting in the time for StarCraft.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think that's it in terms of BornGosu news. As we said earlier, for those of you who might not be familiar with BornGosu, we're a team for the Chobo Team League. And yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we did a little bit at the beginning of the show, but just to recap, it's a silver through masters league. We accept people of all skill levels. So if it's something that you're interested in, if this is the first time you're seeing or hearing anything about it, check into it, look into it. Um, a lot of great teams. It's a great community, and it's a lot of fun. It is. I look forward to it every week.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I came in here, I love playing StarCraft. Obviously, I suck. We all suck, but it's a lot of fun to play. But it can be a little bit lonely. And playing with a group of people, it really makes it such a community-based event, and it makes it fun to talk about your games. Post the crappy things people say to you in the Salt channel, and just hang out and post dank memes. And that's what we do here at BornGosu. So if you're interested in joining a team, being a part of a community, we're always looking for new members, and we're always hoping to develop players. So yeah, check us out. We got the link right there, borngosu.com.
It was a good first show.
Yeah. So we are the Dank, Archon, Toast, and Zili, and this is the Dank Shrine. This is episode number 1. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next week.
See you guys. Thanks.